Set 6 shall be played on Neoplanet S. Spawning in the top right-hand position as the red Protoss player from WOONGJIN Stars. His name is Aria.
His opponent, Blue Terran from Samsung Khan. His name is Turn. On the bottom left position of Neoplanet S. So Turn is in Challenger League right now, WCS Korea Season 2. So he's one of those players who slips under some people's radar, but he is always making into some of the individual league tournaments.
Yeah, I feel like Turn's play style is especially strong against players that don't really know what he does. He can easily catch them off guard. So that's going to make him really powerful, actually, in a qualifying type environment. I'm sure he'd do really well in some of the overseas tournaments as well, if he ever gets the opportunity and has the proper nerves for it. But once he gets famous and too many people find out how he plays, then, you know, he will get eventually countered. But, you know, having that is kind of like, you know, always like an ace up your sleeve can really help you.
Out of all the this is the question of the day. Out of all the KT roster players, how many players got an all kill within KT roster? Doesn't matter how many times the players got an all kill within the team, as long as you get the number of the players correctly.
Oh my, looks like we're going to be seeing a bit of a proxy here from Turn. And you know what I mean? This is what happens when your turn, man. You're going to go for the aggressive play. You're going to go for the proxy play. It's bound to happen.
What's so smart is he's building 2 barracks, which means that once his opponent Aria scouts inside the main base, he's going to see that nothing is missing. All he can count on right now is to check if there's enough SCVs inside the main base, but he does block it at the last second.
This is really good, actually, for Turn, as this is going to pretty much prevent Aria from having any idea of what his opponent's going to be up to here. And we do have a Marine on the way, so when the Marine comes out, I mean, that's still going to like not reveal anything at all to Aria.
Yeah, that's the reason why Turn really wanted to get the supply depot, and he got it just in time. The second barracks finishes in the middle of the map, which has been unscouted by his opponent, as Aria is only building a cybernetics core and thinking that this is a regular game against his opponent.
Yeah. So now the question is, what is our Terran player Turn going to do with these units?
Well, first of all, let's see where Aria was actually scouting towards the third base. I don't know if he's actually building a pylon over there or if he's hiding the probe over there just in case. But he is scouting around the map just to make sure that his opponent is not going for the proxy play. Because remember, his name is Turn, and he wants to be safe as possible.
All right, Aria trying to do a little bit of scouting here. Oh, the Marines just slipping by that probe there. Not amazing at all for Aria here. He doesn't scout the Natural Command Center, and okay, supply depot wall goes up here. You know, at this point, you know, there's going to be no reactor. There's no command center on the high ground in sight or on the low ground. I'm pretty sure that Aria is going to be a little bit suspicious at this point.
That's the reason why he is also making a second stalker behind this, but he sees the Marines at the glimpse, but did he actually catch it? Yes, he did!
Like he did!
But that's too many Marines over there, and the stalker, can it run away in time?
Oh, down the 12 health, going to barely survive against the Marines here. He's going to have to move up to the high ground area. Aria going to be on full defensive now, and he is building 2 pylons here to make a potential choke. And actually 3 go down to prevent this Terran attack from happening here. He needs the buy time. That's exactly what these pylons are going to do here, but not too much time. The bunker is actually going down in the main base, and this Mothership Core cannot die. SCVs, probes are being pulled off the mineral line now. 1 Stalker does fall. A second has joined the fight here, though.
The problem is the energy is charging up on the Mothership Core. 2, 1, and now the Nexus Cannon can go down to defend against the Marines.
All right, Turn's aggression will be thwarted temporarily, but overall, I think that was actually a pretty good trade for him. He is ahead in supplies slightly. He did call off a Stalker, forced the Mothership Cannon, and he also killed a few probes.
What I really like about Turn's play is, yes, he did all of those, but he's also getting a command center behind this. So now he's utilizing his play style where he stays really aggressive early in the game, but also he's making the command centers behind his aggression to make sure that he can still stay in the game if the aggression fails. That was the weakest point in Turn's play, actually, where he goes for the aggression, and if it fails, there's no turning back for a turn. But nowadays, he goes for the triple command before the pressure. Or look at this, 2 barracks before anything else, go for the pressure and build a command center behind this, and he is still far ahead compared to his opponent when it comes to economy.
Yeah, the Nexus is only just really starting now for Aria, so it's going to require a lot of excellent control from him to really get himself back in this game. And I also really like this, using the proxy barracks to scout his opponent. So if there's a Stargate going up or any type of sneaky tech, then Turn's going to see it and be able to react accordingly here. This is going to just help him out so much. And we do have the robotics now starting for Aria.
Just double checking that there's no Stargate, there's no Twilight Council inside the main base. He even gets a full scouting at the bottom area before it gets taken out.
Yeah. And it looks like we have, actually, is that Robo proxied at the third base?
It might be, because there was a probe hiding over there, but that's only a pylon, so it seems like Aria might apply some pressure against his opponent, but perfect scan, sees where the Robo is, sees the Nexus, sees the number of units that his opponent has right now, and Aria is too scared to push down on the map, because one mistake and his opponent Turn can have tons of Marines just eating away on the sentries and stalkers.
Alright, the Nexus completed now. Looks like Aria is feeling pretty confident that he can move down his ramp, getting the gases immediately at that natural there. And still, you know, just has the Robotech, nothing beyond that. We have Stim on the way from our Terran player. He's got an engineering bay, not researching any upgrades though. Also getting a starport at this point as well, just, you know, starting the macro up here. And he's actually got a lot of minerals in the bank here. I would like to see a fast third command center from our Terran player.
Well, we see our Protoss player going for the Immortals, and look at this Turn, just making sure that there's nothing over at the third base. He is going to scout the pylon for pylon, which is going to help him greatly, because right now his opponent is getting a Robo Bay, a Forge, and additional probes. And look at this SCV, like you said, building a third command center away from where his opponent's pylon is to make sure Aria does not scout this in time.
Yeah. A little bit less of a standard third positioning, especially against Protoss, but still perfectly fine. You can totally do that. It just, you know, changes the flow of the game a little bit. Oh, a hallucinated Warp Prism, though, being sent out from the Protoss player Aria here. You know, if he can fiend some pressure on his opponent, then Turn's going to play a little bit more defensive when maybe he'd want to be offensive. Yeah,
in fact, his opponent does see the Robo, so it's not like It's not like, you know, he can't go for the Warp Prism. You know, this might be real. Turn needs to see this in time. And is he going to snipe it? Yes, it does before it goes inside the main base. Sees that it is a hallucinated Warp Prism. So now he's having a sigh of relief. Phew, that wasn't a real one.
But that's still going to be in the back of his mind. Well, maybe he'll do that in the future with the real one. So I don't know. But looks like Turn's going to move across the map here. Excellent observer coverage, though, from Aria. He's going to see the Medivacs move out immediately here. Colossus on the way as well, about halfway down. We have the +1 armor as well, around the same 50% completion. You know, really just our Protoss player going into full economic mode.
So double meta drop going inside the main base. The Warp Prism, excuse me, not the Warp Prism, Mother's Core. Is it going to get sniped before any Nexus cannon?
Nope, doesn't look like it. The Colossus is out as well. The Marines have to be very careful here. The force fields could potentially end up trapping a lot of these units here. And overall, the trade, really good, actually, for Aria here. He has killed off a lot of Marines, losing a very minor amount of units.
Yeah, and this is what happens when Turn decides to be a little bit more aggressive because he wants to make something happen. This is Turn. He doesn't care if he loses many units. As long as he kills something, he is happy within the game.
Turn actually has a few idle SCVs. A bit of a mistake on his end there. His +1 has completed. Needs to go ahead and get the +1 armor now. Blink on the way for our Protoss player. He's adding in 3 additional gateways, so he could really power up and make a lot of units towards the mid-game here.
So those 3 gateways are finished up. He's going to turn them into Warp Prism. Blink out on the way for our Protoss player as the gateway count is gearing up to 6. We don't see a third Nexus attempt by our Protoss player Aria, while Turn, he's just stabilizing on 3 bases and he's just eating those minerals happily.
And he's actually, you know, he got the third base up pretty early. Now he's setting himself up to be in a pretty solid position. And as long as the game keeps going on his way and he doesn't have any bad engagements, then things are going to go pretty good for him. Aria actually needs to really start considering taking a third base now. He needs to get the additional income and economy so he can go into the High Templar tech later on.
Yeah, he either needs to get a third base pretty soon or he needs to go for an attack and kill his opponent because he's been sitting on 2 bases for 14 minutes about. So now he's getting a Warp Prism behind this. The Blink is about to be finished and the upgrades also going to finish pretty soon. Halfway done, excuse me, for our Protoss player.
All right, we have War Prism in production here, so actually really a real one this time. Aria overall looking very defensible. It's not like I could see him actually getting attacked here and it working, but if he's out in the middle of the map, potentially things could be different here. We do have a Protoss player moving across the map. 116 to 144 supplies. Upgrade-wise, they're pretty even. 1 armor, the 1 attack. And oh, nice job. Excellent force fields. They're going to snipe off a lot of units. Aria has to be very careful. Does not want to overcommit. Forward blink. Going to scare away some of those Vikings there, but the unit count may just be a little bit too high for turn here.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 Vikings against the 2 Colossus, so the Colossus can eat away on the ground army, but look at those Zealots and Stalkers melt on the ground as turn has more army than his opponent, and his aggressive style is working out perfectly in this particular game as those Marauders are tanking all the damage from the Colossus. Stem forward to get the second and the third
if he gets that extra Colossus, that's going to be huge here. Very nice job there from turn, sniping off those extra additional Colossi. Then, you know what, we almost saw Aria stabilize there and get a decent engagement, but the problem is just he couldn't finish off the last of those Vikings, and then, you know, the Marines were dead, but the Marauders were still alive to easily pick off those Stalkers. And you know what, our Protoss player still on 2 bases.
Yeah, he doesn't have any Colossus either, so he's going for the Templar Archives, but the Storms are not going to be finished anytime soon. These Zealots can do a lot of damage inside the main base. The problem is, can he defend at the natural?
Yeah, the Zealots are kind of a desperation move here, and this Colossus is going to fall very fast to the 3 Vikings. Force fields are all right, but I think there's just a little bit too much here for turn in the natural. The Protoss player and the Nexus is going to eventually fall here. The firepower from the Marauders, too high to ignore.
Samsung Khan not backing without a fight. They're going to go for the 3-3 situation as the natural Nexus gets taken out. And we are going to see an ace match between the 2 teams. WOONGJIN Star with turn, getting a nice lead against his opponent Aria in set number 6.
Oh, and even 2 Manumils being dropped there. A 4th command center goes down as well. GG is called. WOONGJIN Star is dragged into the ace match thanks to turn's win against Aria in the 6th set.
So Aria, he tried to go for the 2-base timing push, except his opponent turn got an early 3rd command center, and Aria did not see it at all. Because of this, turn was able to squeeze out a lot of units, and yes, there weren't that many Vikings, but because of tons of Marauders and Marines backing up, turn was able to win the engagement and win the battle against his opponent Aria.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we saw a little bit of experience there for turn showing in his game against Aria, who you know, doesn't play too much in Pro League, so he's lacking a little bit of that extra experience. And you know what, turn actually, you know, he played pretty solid that game. Though some of the force fields are really good from Aria, I do want to admit, which made the engagements look not so good for turn early on, but the overall big picture, turn ended up outplaying his opponent Aria, and he was able to take that game. So now we're going to find out who's going to be sent out as the ace player from each team. Don't forget, I believe we have 0 on the bench for WOONGJIN Stars.